This is the Outlap F1 podcast featuring America's own Cody, Andy, and Deanna. Your one-stop shop for Formula One news, insights, race previews, and reviews. Join us on the Outlap. What is up, Outlap F1 Nation? This is season 6. This will be episode number 17. Just want to make sure we got that right. Of the Outlap F1 podcast. It's our 2024 Monaco Grand Prix and also the Indy 500 preview show. You've got Andy, and I'm along with my typical preview co-host, Cody, tonight. Cody is back from doing God's work and making sure everyone in the Midwest region had power. So we thank him for doing God's work last night in all of the storms. We're happy to see that you survived okay, that you all have power. But how you doing otherwise?
I don't know if I really did that much. I kind of just sat at a desk and did stuff. So it wasn't that glamorous. But yeah, glad the storms are done and I can come back home. And just really looking forward to the racing this weekend. I love that, Memorial Day weekend is the weekend where I can really center in and just be like, I'm a nerd out over racing the entire weekend, and it's going to be great. I'm a big fan of the Indy 500, even though, I don't follow Indy nearly as closely as I follow Formula One. It's still fantastic, and I thoroughly enjoy watching it every year.
Yeah, this is, for me, this is better than Super Bowl. I mean, and I am a major league football fan, but I like this Sunday, especially when it all kind of works, because Monaco ends, the podium ends, the post-race sound, pretty much put it in the can, and then right into Indy preview, and then Indy wraps up, and then if you still want to go, you could, do the Kyle Larson bit and get on a plane and go to Charlotte and watch 600 miles of that if you really want to, too. But by usually the end of the night, I'm probably a little bit tired of an engine noise, but that's okay. 13 hours is more than enough. I think I'm usually good by then. But anyway, we'll get into all of that in just a little bit. But if you found our show, welcome along. You can find us at Outlap F1 Podcast is the handle, and you can find us on, I think it's actually been officially renamed X.com now. I hate to say it, but whatever's left of Twitter, Instagram, Discord, Reddit, and of course YouTube. Again, at Outlap F1 Podcast is the handle for all those places. If you happen to be watching us on YouTube and you like what you're seeing and you enjoy what you're hearing, you can do what we call smash the subscribe button, as they say, or you can leave us a like on YouTube. And if you're on your favorite podcasting app, you can give us a 5-star review. All that does, just in case, to kind of pull the curtain back, what all that does helps us just come up a little bit better in search results. People trying to find content like ours, it helps us come up a little bit better with that. So we would appreciate the support if you'd like to do that. You can email the show, as always, chatnow@outlapf1.com. Continued thanks to all of our monetary supporters who continue to support the show. Thanks so much to Dean Warwick, Yuri Dolchester, Paul Weaver, Quentin Warden, Kevin Kelly, Regan Stanzik, Timothy Brown, and of course, Jonathan Scott. If you'd like to become a member of the hashtag Outlap F1 Nation, get a shout out every day, every episode that we go and do a recording on. You can visit our anchor page, $5. We get a notification that you would like to help support the show, and we will shout you out for it. So we would be most appreciative of that. Where does that money go to? It goes into two things. One, either upgrading equipment we already do have, or two, buying new equipment that maybe we don't realize that we necessarily need, but it'll make the show better. So that's kind of where it all goes. It also goes to make sure, our recording platform gets their bill paid and paid on time, and, our, push out program does its thing and all that other good stuff. So we appreciate any support you would like to give us. Last thing, you can check out the good folks at Manscaped for their product line. You can get 20% off and free shipping with our code OUTLAP. That's OUTLAP, all one word. All right. Before we hop into our news and the Monaco GP and the Indy 500, wanted to kind of give a bit of an update on the fact that you probably noticed it's probably been the Cody and Andy show in the last few weeks. And actually the situation is Deanna has taken a job that will cause her to leave the U.S. and she's going to go living abroad. She's going to go on an amazing adventure with all of that. It's something that I know she's wanted for a very long time. She's worked very hard to get this opportunity. So the fact of the matter is, whenever you pick up and move not only across into a new city but into a new country like she's about to do, her new normal is going to be all over the place for the next little bit. So we're going to make sure that she's got the time and the space and all that in order to get acclimated into her new space. The natural conclusion of that is she's not going to be on for sure the rest of this season, if probably probably not in a recurring role moving forward. So I'm personally nothing but happy for her that she gets this lovely opportunity in order to go do what she wants to go do. I'm a twinge sad that we're not going to have her expertise, the dry wit, the quick lines and the sarcasm and the making fun of Ferrari that she brings to the show. We will always have a lot of moments, both in real life and on the podcast. Getting lost in Nashville the first time we ever met was probably a new experience for all of us, not supposed race experts getting completely lost in the Nashville paddock. But, all of us being able to be at COTA last year, that was an amazing moment. So getting a chance to meet her dad and some of her family as well. So, all good things. We wish Deanna nothing but the best. And as I've said, when, James and John had to kind of move on from the show a little bit, there is always an open mic and an open seat anytime any of them want one. All they have to do is shoot me a message and we'll make that happen. So, and I'm confident that our paths are going to cross again. It may just inspire me to do the whole, some of my bucket list stuff in the future. So we shall definitely be meeting again, but I wanted to wish Dee all of the best moving forward. So we are going to now hop into our news segment as we get primed and ready to go for the Monaco GP and the Indy 500 as well. Believe it or not, for a quick turnaround, there actually was a little bit of drama going on, especially in the world of Andretti. We have two stories that are kind of intertwined and interconnected. So story one, if you think the Andretti bid is not being taken seriously by the Andretti people, think again, because they've gone and went out, like we said when they signed Cadillac as an engine OEM, that was a pretty big bat. Well, they went and got another big bat. They've gone and hired Pat Simmons. That's right, that Pat Simmons is, the guy who crafted these technical regulations from FOM. That Pat Simmons, yeah. So he is leaving his position as the F1 Chief Technical Officer to join Andretti Cadillac, following, of course, a gardening leave in pursuit in pursuit of entering the FIA Formula One World Championship. He's joining Andretti as an executive engineering consultant, and Andretti continues to push for its F1 bid, air quote, at pace. Love that terminology, by the way. Cody, what's your thought on this one? This is a major get for the folks at Andretti.
It is a major get. I think it's really exciting that they're poaching people from the FIA Formula One at this point. And it continues to show, as they have continued to do when they get roadblocked at every step of the way, that Andretti's not ready to give up, that they are willing to keep putting in the time and the effort and keep putting on personnel, because they think that they're going to get into Formula One at some point in the not too distant future. And I think that's great, because a lot of us are hoping that they are going to get into Formula One in the not too distant future. And they want to be as ready as they can be when that time comes. Heard lots and lots of rumors about, and I think we're going to get to something that actually happened in a minute here, as far as keeping them out of Formula One. But I don't know. I think it's a really good thing that they're keeping up with their pace to get into Formula One.
Yeah, I mean, they've continued. They have not announced any plans to lay any of the staff that they've hired from these other teams off. They continue to prep as though they're going to be there, and they very well might be. But the other side of that coin, now, two other developments have happened. One, we've already talked kind of about how the letter that they got from the U.S. Congress, which is in our system of government, we have two houses. We have the House of Representatives, which is kind of the equivalent of in the UK, the House of Commons. And then we have the US Senate, which is the equivalent in the UK of the House of Lords. So now the US Senate has sent letters to FOM saying they'd like to have people come in and find out what the deal is, explain yourself, and why this is not against any of the U.S. antitrust laws. The other side of this, now in relation to that, all that happened, of course, during the Miami Grand Prix weekend. So this is a report that has come out from NBC News. So this is a big boy media organization. It's actually from a senior political reporter by the name of Sahil Kapoor, who, according to his byline, is a senior national political reporter for NBC News. Why was he there? Because one of the former presidents was at the race in Miami and had a presence. So I assume he was there to get this. And oh, by the way, he happened to run into one Mario Andretti, who, according to now Andretti, was saying an almost altercation occurred between Liberty CEO Greg Maffei and Mario Andretti on the Saturday of the Miami GP weekend at the Palm Club at a, quote, invitation-only breakfast reception. Per Mario, Greg said, quote, or he was trying to explain to Greg, quote, I was asked to go there, referring to the letter from Congress, and just as I was trying to explain that to Stefano Domenicali, who was also there, Greg Maffei broke into the conversation and said, Mario, I want to tell you that I will do everything in my power to see that Michael never enters Formula One. Oi, we are now entering what I would like to call the realm of the strange, the surreal, and now we're into a measuring contest, at which point no one is going to win. Yick. Cody, what's your take on this? This is just, the more I read on this, the more unreal it seems.
Yeah, assuming that that's how it all went down, it is pretty insane to think that you have the CEO of Liberty Media, who is, running the show for Formula One, quite literally the show part of it at this point, saying that they're going to do everything in their power to keep Andretti out, is pretty much a line in the sand saying, yeah, you're not going to cross that. You're never getting into this. We're going to make sure it doesn't happen, which is very direct considering everything that we've seen leading up to this, which is kind of putzing around, trying to find reasons why Andretti can't come in, saying, oh, we don't think you're going to bring any value to the sport. Oh, we don't think you're going to be able to get up to speed for these regulations. And we're heading into new regulations soon. So maybe we'll invite you then. I don't know. Yeah, this is now just moving past all that and pretty much saying, look, we don't like you for whatever reason, and we don't want you here. And that's pretty awful, in my opinion. I still continue to not understand what the big deal is about having an 11th team on the grid, other than you have to now split your pie differently and get a little less money than you were getting before, I think. And considering
for maybe a year.
Yeah, for maybe a year. I mean, Formula One is very popular right now. I think it would serve your popularity well to bring in more talent and more teams. And yeah, considering with this new Concord agreement that they're going to be doing soon, that what is it, they call it an anti-dilution fund that Andretti would have to pay into to get into the sport. It's probably going to skyrocket anyway. Like, they're all going to get their money and be happy. So I don't see what the big holdup is anymore.
Yeah, I mean, if this has become a tit for tat, international almost member measuring contest between people with lots and lots and lots of money, it's part of the worst part of F1 culture kind of coming out. It's the part that, we all kind of accept at certain times that these things happen, but you never want to see it happen. And then but like with this, it's like, apparently, like, we need to give economic lessons now to the CEO of FAM, because, like, do you not understand that you're going to get a U.S. driver who already has a really big following in Colton Herta, who's already well respected within U.S. racing circles, and that's going to inspire U.S.-based sponsors? I mean, Gainbridge was already doing advertisement at the Miami Grand Prix. You're going to have that on the side of his car easy on day one. Those sponsorship agreements, I think, have already been pretty much all approved and all are ready to go. So it's not a money thing. And if now we're getting like I read this and I think of three words right off the bat. I think arbitrary, capricious, and just stupid and short sighted. Just it just drives me crazy that we're even into this. But Andretti obviously isn't taking any crap from anybody. They just went out and hired Pat Simmons. Oh, by the way, the Pat Simmons from FOM. Ay, 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 ay. It's just, it makes my head hurt. But man, oh man, oh man. We will continue to follow. All of this is now going to turn into, it's going to end in like a soap opera style, I'm pretty sure. And the other thing I want to see is I want to see Andretti build a car and actually take it out to like, Road America and break lap records with the damn thing.
That would be sweet.
Yeah. Just you wait. You may see that video at some point. So yeah, we will continue to follow all of the latest developments. Now, according to this same story, when FOM was contacted, they said, well, the conversation didn't go that way, but they're not exactly commenting. So again, what's real, what isn't, we're kind of not sure. But the fact is, this is an NBC News senior political reporter who's doing this and putting the story out there. So I have to think at least he has double checked his sources a couple times. But anyway, we will move on from there to something a little less controversial. So I think in our last preview, we talked about the idea of the rain covers that the Ferraris were testing at their Fiorano circuit. Well, nobody liked them, apparently. So F1 is going to abandon the wheel cover idea after the latest test runs at the Fiorano circuit. The spray reducing effects were marginal. And I would tend to agree from the little bit of footage that I saw, especially when one car was trying to follow the other. There was kind of like a little pocket of air where just kind of the driver's head was, but he was surrounded by water droplets. So how does that help the vision? I didn't think it really did. The FIA has vowed to continue to pursue other options to improve visibility during inclement weather. I would also suggest somebody bring Pirelli in on this and have them actually develop their wet tire. Maybe that might be a place to start. But Cody, what's your thought here?
Yeah, I think the tire would be a great place to start, considering that's what's making that spray ultimately in the first place. I was reading too that they pretty much purposely made those wheel covers that we saw, those spray covers, as ridiculous and over the top as possible to pretty much go for a maximum. Like if we pulled out all the stops and really, really covered up the wheels, how much effect can we expect to see? And yeah, the answer was that they didn't see enough of a reduction in the spray to make what they wanted to see for improvements of visibility. And at that point they were like, well, look, this isn't the way to go. We're going to just cut our losses and run at this point from this idea. As they said, they're still working on other ideas. So, drivers have been complaining for a while now about the issues with visibility in wet weather, and they haven't discounted that and just said we're not going to do anything about it. They're still working on it, but they're going to have to take a different approach than the wheel covers because it ain't doing it. It's not making enough of a difference.
Yeah. And like I said, the little bit of footage that I saw, I still saw a lot of spray from the lead car. I think it comes from just looking at it. Like the fact is we're in a ground effect era. So it's literally sucking up against the ground. And if the water is on the ground, where do you think the water is going to go? There's nowhere to go but up. And that's kind of what I think we're seeing. I do think the ultimate answer is some way to channel the water or try to affect where it would go in a rain setup. It's probably going to take maybe some sort of a compromise between like maybe the teams have to run a rain spec wing or something like that to actually really put that in there, which I know no team is going to want to do, especially in the cost cap era, because that's another piece of part that you have to develop for maybe 2-3 races a year. And maybe you don't end up using the damn thing at all in the course of a season. So, there's a lot of hurdles, but at least they're all understanding that, hey, look, this is a problem. We want to fix it. So yeah, another thing we will continue to monitor. I thought this was at least a good faith attempt. I definitely thought as you did, that these were definitely over-the-top solutions. They were more than simple mud flaps, which is kind of what I thought we were going to get when they first announced it. So, we'll have to see kind of where this goes. But
I am just a tiny bit disappointed that we're not going to see these in use at all, because I wanted to see what an in-race pit stop would look like with these things. Like, do they put them on with the wheels? Do they put them on after the wheels? Like, how much time does it actually cost? How quickly can they do that? That would have been.
I would assume the cover would have had to have been on the tire itself. Like, I assume when they go to pick up the tire, it would have the cover on it, and you could only then. I don't know. We'll never see it, unfortunately.
Yeah,
like, what happens when you go to mount it, and what does that do to then maybe that whole pit stop? Because, I mean, usually when you go from dry to wet, it's usually maybe a 3-4 second pit stop. It's not usually the lightning under 2 seconds that you tend to see, because there's some, changes in ride heights and stuff that you have to change because the tires are literally a different size. But we'll see what they come up with. These are smart people. I just think there hasn't been enough attention to this over the course of the years, these many years that we've been doing it. If you actually put attention to it, you put the engineering know-how that you have at your disposal, someone is going to solve this and make rain racing viable. All right. So as we turn our focus to the weekend itself, the big story about the actual weekend is my team, McLaren, is going to be running a pretty epic special livery. I think it was teased by Chris Medland even last week. I think they made it available to the media last week before the Imola GP, but now it's been revealed to everybody. A Ayrton Senna tribute livery in the style of a Brazilian flag. I thought that actually the livery itself, pretty damn impressive, if I'm being honest with you. Not quite as epic as the Gulf Baby Blue that I have on my here and hat and 3 different pictures that I have hanging on my walls about, but it's close. If you're going to do a Brazilian flag livery, this is a way to do it, and I thought it was very well done. Believe it or not, I actually think this was better than even some of the renderings that were out on the web about something similar. But yeah, it's going to be epic. Both Oscar and Lando will be running it all weekend. The team is garbed in this yellow and green race suits and everything else. So yeah, they're going full Ayrton Senna for the Monaco weekend. Cody, what are your thoughts on the special livery?
Ferrari, this is how you do a special livery. It does look really cool, and it's awesome to get like a real deal special livery, all different colors. Very cool. After we got teased with the Ferrari throwback livery of the car being blue, and then we got these little teeny tiny stripes. So the Brazilian flag idea is really cool. Is a good homage to Ayrton Senna. It's almost a little disappointing that we don't have any Brazilian drivers on the grid right now. I think it would be perfect for a Brazilian driver to be driving a car with their colors. Alas, we'll have to take a Briton and Aussie sporting the colors, but it is a really good livery, an excellent homage, and I would say probably my second favorite special livery that they've done, right after this one. Yep. I think that one was the coolest one. My other favorite special livery that I've seen so far was when Red Bull did the white car for
Japan.
For Japan, or what should have been Japan. I think that was missing from the calendar.
I think it ended up being in Turkey. Yeah.
But I thought that one was really cool. But this one is definitely way up there. Colors are great, and looking forward to seeing it on the track.
Yeah, especially if it turns into a race winning car, I may end up with another addition to my my Hall of Victory here that I'm slowly starting to build. But it's fun because the team is good, and that's what makes it exciting. But anyway, we are going to focus now on the actual Monaco GP proper. We're going to take a quick break. We'll re-rack, but we'll get into the track facts of this historic circuit that really has not changed over almost 100 years worth of cars going around it. We'll talk a little bit about what the weather looks like, and then we're going to do our predictions. And these are probably the most open predictions that we've had in a long time. There are things that are different that we always pick the same thing. We haven't done that this time. You'll want to find out who we're picking, and maybe we're smart, maybe we're stupid. The best part is we don't know. That's what's so fun about it. So come on back. We'll get into all that in just a little bit. You are listening to the Outlap F1 podcast, and we'll be right back after this quick pit stop. Grab your flu powder, broomstick, or apparate to your favorite audio streaming service to join the discussion on Hogwarts, a podcast, where Dan and his friends have in-depth chapter-by-chapter breakdowns of each Harry Potter novel. Join the group as they dive into the magical world and discuss plot points, analyze character development, and occasionally go off the rails. Whether you're a muggle who's new to the series or a pure-blood wizard who won't need a remember-all, Hogwarts, a podcast, brings everyone to the Great Hall for a magical discussion. Hogwarts, a podcast, available wherever you get your podcasts. All right, welcome back in. This is Season 6. This is Episode 17 of the Outlap F1 podcast. It's our 2024 Monaco and Indy 500. It's our Monaco GP and Indy 500 preview show. You've got Andy, and I'm along with Cody tonight, and we will start our actual preview of the weekend by focusing on the Monaco circuit and the track facts that are brought to us by the good folks at Pirelli Motorsport. Cody, tell us about the Circuit de Monaco.
All right. This weekend, Memorial Day weekend here, we are racing around the Circuit de Monaco located in Monte Carlo in the Principality of Monaco. Teeny tiny principality on the Mediterranean, right by France. Number of laps around this thing is 78, and track length is 3.337 kilometers, or 2.073 miles. It is the shortest circuit on the F1 calendar. The tire selection from Pirelli for this race is the C3, C4, and C5 compounds, which would be the softest tire compounds on offer. And the track characteristics from Pirelli are a 5 out of 5 for traction, 2 out of 5 for braking, 1 out of 5 for lateral load, 1 out of 5 for tire stress, a 5 out of 5 for track evolution, 1 out of 5 for asphalt grip, 1 out of 5 for asphalt abrasion, and a 5 out of 5 for downforce. The qualifying lap record in the current configuration of the circuit goes to Lewis Hamilton, who set that record in 2019 with a 1 minute 10.166 seconds, while the race lap record also goes to Lewis Hamilton. He set this one in 2021 with a time of 1 minute 12.909 seconds. Most wins around this circuit, and there have been many races at this circuit. Most wins goes to the late great Ayrton Senna with 6 wins at this track, followed by Graham Hill and Michael Schumacher tied with 5 wins apiece. So lots of big names here. Third place would be Alan Prost with 4 wins, and then fourth place is a four-way tie between Moss, Stewart, Rosberg, that would be Nico Rosberg, and Lewis Hamilton with 3 wins each. Most constructor wins around Monaco, it goes to McLaren with 15 wins here, so a ton of wins. Second place is Ferrari with 10, third place Mercedes with 8, fourth place Lotus, I believe that's got to be the old Lotus, with 7, and then fifth place is a tie between BRM and now Red Bull with 5 wins each. What's the circuit like, Andy?
It is 2 things. It is incredibly narrow and totally iconic. Nelson Piquet Sr. memorably described driving around Monaco as, quote, like riding a bicycle around your living room. And that's a fair comparison. Despite that, it's a challenge that nearly all the drivers love, forcing them to put their skills on the line and rewarding millimetric accuracy. Overtaking on the streets is harder, however, with going so far as the 2003 Grand Prix witnessing a grand total of 0 overtakes. We may be on par for something like that this year with these cars. Yowza! As for the weather, and the weather already has played a part in this weekend, we're recording on Thursday night. F2 already had their first practice in a deluge, so rain can pop up out of nowhere. But as far as the weather forecast that we have, this is what we're bringing to you. It's going to be for qualifying on Saturday. A partly cloudy start set to become cloudier and unsettled as the day progresses. Showers will develop inland in the afternoon. Does it hit the coastline? We don't know. 1 or 2 showers, possibly heavy with a light sea breeze. A high around 71. Winds will be out of the east, southeast at 5 to 10. A 40% chance of rain. As for the race on Sunday, partly sunny in the afternoon with a lower risk of rain. High around 75. Winds out of the southeast, again 5 to 10. A less than 5% chance of rain for race day. All right. All right. So, yeah, this track has not changed in almost 100-year history. That's one of the reasons we love it. You're basically going around the entire town, the entire principality, like you said, Cody. It's surrounded by France. In fact, a lot of what you see is actual France around it. But yeah, it's an iconic circuit. I hope they change. I've always said I would love to see a special Monaco spec car. I know nobody wants to spend more money. I know we're in a cost cap era, but wouldn't that just be great to give a team like a Williams, who's foundering a bit at the back, a chance to design a one-off car to go win in Monaco? Wouldn't that just be awesome?
I totally agree. And I think we've actually talked about that on the show before, how, the current generation of Formula One cars is too big really for a real, real nail biter at Monaco. It's really hard to pass. It's kind of always been really hard to pass at Monaco as it is. So yeah, I don't know how you would handle it with the points. I don't know if you make it like an exhibition race at that point or something, but yeah, a spec car, same performance for everyone, something maybe with a little more pep and pizzazz than a Formula 2 car, but still smaller than what we normally go racing with, just so it's easier to pass. And yeah, I think that would be really awesome, because then you're putting it all, if it's a spec car for just this one race, you're really putting it down to the talent of the drivers over the car. And yeah, you're making it more of a spectacle. So I think that would be really cool just for one race on
Yeah, I would, like I said, I would love to see it. I would tune in for sure. Car enthusiasts everywhere, I think, would also tune in as well. And it would be, people would want to see what the heck happens. Who's going to win it? Because you wouldn't know. But anyway, that having been said, even in our current formula, we have potential for a few different winners. And when is the last time we went into a Grand Prix weekend actually thinking that legitimately? And I'm not doing that to hype this up. So we will now move into our predictions. We're going to start with probably the most important prediction of the weekend, and that is the pole sitter. The 2023 pole sitter was, of course, Max Verstappen, who pulled out the pole time at the death after Fernando Alonso had laid down a gauntlet of a Q3 lap time. We thought he had it. He was 2/10 up going into the last sector, and then Max did, I'll just say it right now, a Max thing. That was just one of the most amazing third sectors I've ever seen. Watching it on the live timing, I could not believe what I was watching. It was just purple, 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 and then he just shot up the timing charts. An amazing third sector. I've seen reels of it. Pump that into my veins all weekend long. But anyway, who do you have, Cody, for your pole sitter for this weekend's Monaco GP?
I am going to go with a repeat. I'm going with Max Verstappen. I do have to say that the qualifying last year was probably the most excited I've ever been during qualifying, and the most disappointed I've ever been, because I wanted Alonso to have that pole so bad. It would have been the coolest thing. But yeah, unfortunately, he still has set all the poles so far this year, and I keep saying it. He's going to be my pick until he misses one. So it's going to be Max for me.
All right. Well, this is the first time I think we're actually going to differ here. I think every race this season I have just covered this, figured I'll take the free point, but I'm in my baby McLaren blues. I'm feeling the love, the Ayrton Senna livery. I think something special going to be on the cards. I think McLaren figures out to get that last 0.78 hundredths of a second. And I'm going to say Lando Norris to take pole. in Monaco in an epic final Q3 lap. I even seriously debated putting Oscar Piastri here because I think they're both going to be right on it. They're going to be right on Max's heels. I am in on this qualifying session, but let's go Lando. All right. So for our lap time, last year's lap time was that epic 111.365. Cody, what you got for a lap time?
I'm going to go a tiny bit faster than last year. I'm going to go with a 1 minute 11.289. And just taking a look at our times here, we're both very close to last year's time. So this is going to be like really close to see.
I don't know if we've done the thing where we actually did the same delta where you're negative one way and I'm positive delta the other way. If we've done that, that would be twice. And Lord only knows what the odds of that are. But I'm going a tad slower. You're going a tad quicker. I'm going a tad slower. I've got 111.458. So we'll have to see where this comes in. Of course, let's see if it comes in and splits us. But anyway. That would mean it was a pretty darn quick lap, and it stayed dry. All right, so now switching the gear to Sunday, the race itself. There's always a pit stop that can always throw a monkey wrench even into the pole sitter time. There are actually some, believe it or not, some places to overtake if somebody wants to do a dive bomb move. There's offs that can happen. The walls are there every lap. I guarantee you, even if there's not a lot of overtaking, it will be tense for the 90 or so minutes if it's dry that race usually is. So, Cody, who do you have sitting in the special box on the podium next to the Prince in Monaco? Who do you got for your race podium?
My heart wants it to be Charles Leclerc. I think him finally winning in Monaco would be really cool to see. However, the brain says that it's going to be Max Verstappen again. So I got Max coming home with the win. I'm actually pretty much doing a repeat of my podium from last race, and I nailed that podium. So I think it's a good one to go with. It's Max in P1, got Lando Norris in P2, and Charles Leclerc in P3.
All right, very good. Well, if I'm going to go all homer, I said I didn't want to predict Lando winning a race until I was pretty confident in it. Well, let me just put it this way. After Imola, I'm confident. That car is there. It is right. It is probably as good as Max's right now. And Red Bull hasn't looked good the last couple weekends. So if they're not completely on it, he's gettable. It's the first time I can legit say I think Max is gettable. That said, Max can still do Max thing and still pull this out. But that having been said, as I'm weighing this, again, I'm going to go full homer on me. Lando Norris to take an epic win in Monaco in the special livery. Max Verstappen to come home in P2, and Charles Leclerc to still make the podium. Ferraris aren't going anywhere. You know, this could easily be flipped over. This could be Leclerc, Norris, Verstappen. It could be any one of them. I think they are that close. But I've got Lando taking the win, followed by Max and Charles in P3. All right, so we will move into our fastest lap, and the driver, the 2023 time was set by Lewis Hamilton with a 1:15.650. Cody, what you got here for fastest lap time, and then who do you have setting it?
I have Oscar Piastri setting the fastest lap, and I got him doing it with a 1 minute 14.989.
All right, very good. I like that lap time. I'm going to go because I think this is one of those places, even the Mercedes are going to be probably in the mix and be around. I've got Lewis Hamilton taking the extra point for the fastest lap, and I've got a 1:15.269 for the lap time. All right. So, Cody, you selected the bonus picks for this round. You've got P4, P6, and P8, so I like these selections as well. I'll go first. I want to have a double McLaren podium, but I can't predict that. I can't go that homer yet. Oscar Piastri, however, is going to be there. He's going to be on gearboxes and waiting for things. He's 1/16 of a monogas, according to his Twitter. And I'm going to say he comes home in P4. Fernando Alonso, I think even though the Astons have struggled, this is a circuit that, you know, not as car dependent necessarily as other places. So I think Alonso being Fernando will do pretty well here. I've got him coming home in P6 and P8. It's kind of like the Mercedes are just the fourth quickest car. So you got to have them around P7, P8, P6, 7, 8. So I'm going to put George Russell here. I think Lewis will probably be a little bit better. Probably a reversal of where, for the most part, they were in Imola until what I'm still not understanding is this very strange pit call to box Russell there, but whatever. I'll get over it. I had some people ask me about that on Twitter, and I still say it should have been the other way around. But anyway, I'll leave that there. All right. And for your prop bet, Cody, you selected, will we see a red flag during qualifying with the walls being as close? It's almost a Thanos thing. It's inevitable. And I hate to pick on him, but Logan Sargent is going around this racetrack. Oh, God. So, yeah, we'll probably see a red flag. I hope he doesn't damage the chassis too bad. That's my honest, if I'm predicting with my head, that's probably who I would think would cause it. Could be a Haas too. Could be a Kevin Magnussen, I hit the wall type situation as well. But anyway, I do think we'll see a red flag out of one of those qualifying sessions, especially if it's wet. Yeah.
I agree. I do think we're going to see a red flag. It's everyone's going to be right on the limit during qualifying, and there's just not enough room to really do anything but a red flag if someone wipes out. So I'm agreeing with you. I do think we're going to get a red flag, and even though you didn't want to hear them, we'll give you my bonus picks.
Hell!
I'm
sorry.
Sorry, I'm just teasing. No, it's all good. I too think Piastri is just going to miss out on the podium, so I got him slotted in for P4. It will be really funny though if we do get a McLaren double podium, because then you're going to go full homer for like everything from here on out. I have Hamilton in P6. Pretty much most of your running order in this is going to be determined by qualifying, and I think that is probably where the Mercedes cars are going to slot in, is that P6, P7, kind of area there. And then I think we're going to get a really strong performance from Yuki Tsunoda this race. So I've got him making it all the way up to P8.
All right, very good. And we'll enter those. Those did get submitted on time. That was my fault. Bad eyeballs. What can I tell you? I'm getting old in my old age here. But anyway, all right. So that's it pretty much for our Monaco preview. I love to cue this sound up because this is so epic. So now we will flip the script and we're going to talk a little IndyCar. If I can get my mouse to work. There we go. With NBC Eat Your Heart Out. That no matter what, as good as the NBC production is at that race, that intro, that's Indy. That's my youth right there. Oh, love it.
I love how you could remember what the best like NBC intro sound was to the race, and you went back and you found it for this.
Oh my God. It's like as soon as I found it, I was like, oh my God, it's here. Somebody actually took it. And it sounds so good and it sounds so clean in the board. So this is what the donations go to, is stuff like this. So hey, look at it that way. So yeah, we are now going to shift gears and we're going to talk the Indy 500. It's the 108th iteration of this event. The iconic race in the heart of the USA, right in the on the outskirts of Indianapolis, in a little town, ironically enough, called Speedway, where you actually have to drive through the neighborhood to get to the circuit. It's actually really, really cool. And all of the houses in that little neighborhood are all decked out in race stuff. It's a big cookout. It's a massive party. It's awesome. I've only been to the road course race. I can only imagine what 3 times that crowd is like. The energy.
It's a great time to make money on parking.
Oh my God, yes. I'm sure that covers, like, if they have mortgages, I'm sure they're paid for by that. That's what I would do. But anyway, they have been circulating around there. They've already been there for a couple of weeks. They've done all the practicing. Last weekend was the epic qualifying. And of course, the thing that makes the Indy 500 unique is it's not just one lap. You got to do this qualifying for 4 laps, and it's an average of your aggregate time. And let's just put it this way. Scott McLaughlin, who is on pole, that was quick. Wow. 234.220 miles per hour. To put that into context for those of you in the UK, that's 376.940 kilometers an hour. Woo! Penske, who has been under fire in IndyCar for their air quote push to pass scandal, has come out in the Indy trim, Indy 500 trim, and has only locked out the whole front row. McLaughlin, Will Power, and Joseph Newgarden will be on the front row for that race. If you're looking for a NASCAR connection to this race, Kyle Larson, who has been in NASCAR. He's been in some sprint and midget competitions. He races in something called in the U.S. called the Chili Bowl, which is one of the first events of the season early in January, and he usually wins the modified class there. Put him in anything, and he's fast. Guess what? He's pretty fast here too. He qualified on his first attempt here doing this to do the double. He's going to have an 1,100-mile day if everything goes according to schedule. He starts the Indy 500 from 5th in the Arrow McLaren. Collaboration with Hendrick Motorsports. Jeff Gordon was there watching all of it. So that is a angle. If you're into some ex-F1 drivers who are going to be there, Marcus Ericsson will be racing for Andretti. He had some drama almost not making the race because qualifying for the Indy 500 is probably the most democratic. It's the top 33 times. That's it. It doesn't matter who you are. You could have won this race 4 times. They don't care. If you're not one of the 33 fastest, you go home. If you can remember from a few years ago, we had a nobody team by the name of Juncos Racing and Kyle Kaiser knock out Fernando Alonso, 2-time world champion. He had to watch that race on the sideline, even though he was trying to win the Triple Crown. So there's that angle as well. But Marcus Ericsson, who had some drama, made it in on the last chance day, even after almost screwing up his one other qualifying attempt by lifting off on the 3rd lap with his team having to tell him, keep going, keep going. So that was dramatic like it always is. And then Spider-Man, Helio Castroneves, qualifies 20th. He's doing the drive for 5. Would be an epic 5th Indy 500 victory if he happens to do it. He's done it in that car before with Meyer Shank. Has the most previous Indy 500 starts of everybody in the field. He's been doing this 23 times. Wow, that's some mega experience. Woo! Sign me up. I'm so excited for this thing. Cody, what's your thought on all this? This is amazing stuff.
Yeah, I'm very excited for this one. A lot of good stories going on here. Yeah, this Scott McLaughlin, that was a record-setting speed that he went around here. And the way that they do qualifying like metrics for IndyCar is a little different. They don't show you the timing of the laps for this. They give it to you as their average speed across those 4 laps, which can throw some people off a little bit. But yeah, he set that 234.220 miles per hour. That was a new record for Indy 500 qualifying. So great to see him do that. I really like the bright yellow Pennzoil car. So it was great to see him doing it in that. Yeah, I hope that we're going to put this whole Penske debacle thing, kind of behind us now. It was, cheating, and it was not great. And they received the appropriate punishment for that, which was disqualification for the cars that were, found to have gained an advantage from that. But putting that part behind us, Penske is a legend of IndyCar racing for a long time now, and he owns the track now too. So it's gotta look really good for him to have his team lock out the front row, which in IndyCar is three rows, so 3 cars on that front row. He's got his 3 cars locking out the front row for the Great American Race at now his track. Those top 3 is McLaughlin, Power, Newgarden, so huge names in the IndyCar racing scene. Of course, Power and Newgarden are both, let's see here, I think 1-time winners of the Indy 500 and 2-time champions each. And Scott McLaughlin has found a lot of success in IndyCar over the past couple of years, but his big claim to fame before coming over here was V8 supercar racing in Australia, where he was very, very successful. So it would be really awesome to see him, get the Indy 500 win as well. As far as tongue twister there. Far as Kyle Larson goes, there finally got it out. Um, I love when NASCAR drivers come and race in the Indy 500. Unfortunately, they haven't really found a whole lot of success in the past.
I think
I
Tony
watched
Stewart
NASCAR
finished fourth. I think one time. That's
But
they
that
get
is true, but I
close.
believe that was before he was even a
Yeah,
NASCAR
I think you're
driver.
right. I think you're right.
But yeah, going the other way from NASCAR to Indy seems to be a tough one. However, like you said, Kyle Larson can drive the wheels off of anything, it seems, and we got a little bit of a taste from that for qualifying because fifth place in his first attempt in a racing series that he doesn't even race in. Fifth place is fantastic, and I hope he puts on a really good show for this. I know he's driving for the Arrow McLaren team jointly with Hendricks Motorsports, so I know it's your team. So hopefully you're going to be rooting for him a little bit too.
Oh yeah, I mean,
Um,
I'm all
yeah,
about it. I'm a big Alex Rossi fan. I just love that dude's sense of humor. I've been an Alex Rossi fan for a very long time. I love Pato Award as well. When you're talking about some of the
mm-hmm,
quickest hands that I've ever seen, that dude just wrestles the car and gets lap time out of it. Sometimes even when it's not cooperating. So you've got big names: Penske versus Arrow
mm-hmm.
McLaren. The one team that's kind of struggling, at least through qualifying trim, was Chip Ganassi, who last year had Alex Palou. He did win the race that I was at, the road course race at Indy. And it looked like they were just going to step on in and keep going on the gas like they did, but they were a little bit off. The Chevys, big kind of overall speed advantage on the Hondas. The Hondas a little bit more consistent. Big problems in qualifying if you had a Chevy engine though, with something called a plenum fire, where like you're in the middle of your qualifying run and you would go to downshift one of the gears and the engine would just cut out for like 2 seconds. And that was really hurting.
Ooh.
So the Arrow McLaren guys had a lot of drama. They had to do a couple of separate attempts, including Kyle Larson, who his first attempt, he was the first car that had the problem, but they were able to solve it.
Hmm.
So it looks like, kind of all systems go. We're recording this on Thursday night. Tomorrow is the last final practice, known as air quote carb day, even though they haven't used carburetors on a car in about 50 years. So they don't have a need for it, but it's a very festival atmosphere. There's a pit stop competition, which will be there. There's already been several events around the community and everything, and it's an amazing energy around that place. It is also one of, if not the best, most organized venues that I have ever been to, and I've been to a lot of them. Compare the getting lost in Nashville with the signs that made no sense to here, where everybody knows, everybody's wearing the bright yellow stuff. They're all very nice to you. They tell you where to go. Everything is clearly marked. I had to even go to the administration building to pick up my parking pass. I was really nervous about that because I'm like, well, maybe the line's going to be out the door. It's going to, take 2 hours. And a will call window was 20 minutes. In and out. They had actual space to park your car. I was afraid I was going to have to get out and leave my hazards on and maybe get towed as I'm trying to pick up my parking pass. No, all good. So, I mean, they know how to run this race. The community all comes together for it. It's really cool. It's one of those things. This is another bucket list for me. I want to do a 500 run so bad at some point.
I will go with you. I will happily.
All right. You heard it here first.
It's on my bucket.
We're gonna figure out a way to organize that, and it won't break your bank either. That's the other nice thing about it. And it's only a 2-3 hour drive away from here. Any other thoughts on Indy before we wrap up?
Just that if I had to pick a winner or somebody who I'd want to win, it would be between Kyle Larson, because it would just be a big upset. Well, in some ways it would be a big upset if he won it. But he looks like he's got a pretty good chance. And my other pick would be Helio Castroneves because, if you've watched the show before, you'll know that I'm a big fan of the stats and seeing records get broken. And having Helio Castroneves, he's the only guy right now that's got a chance at being the only person in history with five IndyCar victories. Everyone else who's at 4 has long since retired, long since retired. So it would be really cool to see him get that. He's never won an IndyCar championship before, despite coming really close on several occasions. He's probably deserved it, but it would be cool for him to at least get this record.
Yeah, if I had a sentimental pick, I'm going to give you a one-off. Ed Carpenter, who is a local Indiana guy who basically that's all he does is this race. He's always brought really fast cars to Indy. They're always kind of in the mix. They're always annoying. And they're always there kind of at the end. I mean, that's kind of the thing. Like you run this race, you run the first 400 some miles, and that's all kind of the appetizer, because those last 100 miles, those last, 30 laps or so are crazy when everybody's just going for it. And if you're a fan of Japanese motorsport, you've got Takuma Sato, a 2-time champion of this race, going for number 3 here. So lots of good stories. You really don't have any other than, maybe if you're still mad at the Penske guys. There was one guy who every time Joseph Newgarden would come by when we were there would make it a point of flipping him off, which I thought was absolutely hilarious. The video I posted, you could see him. Like, that's what he's doing. Like, the race is starting and he's flipping people off. He's flipping Joseph Newgarden off because of the Penske push to pass thing. But it was definitely a major talking point, at least at the race that I was at. I'm hoping we can start to kind of move on. IndyCar as a series really needs it to move on, because there's a lot of good. And I've always said this about going to IndyCar races. If you're trying to learn how to go to a race and how an event works, that's the place to do it. You're not going to break your bank. The paddock's usually open. You get paddock passes. You can get right up to almost touch the dang cars. And they love to talk to you. Like, you can talk to the chief engineer, Ed Andretti, or if Zach Brown happens to be there, you can go tap him on the shoulder and say hi, and it's cool. And they will not escort you away like they will in an F1 race. Let's put it that way. So anyway, totally looking forward to it. And if you're in the UK, I'll give you a bit of an insider tip. I just found this out. The race is actually going to be free to air on the Sky Sports F1 YouTube channel, commercial free. Now, and you're saying now everyone in the US just goes, well, how do I get that? There are ways. Talk to someone in tech. There's a way to do it. I'm going to do it. 3 little letters, VPN. Magic things. Anyway,
you didn't hear from us.
Well, give me all the credit you want. If more people watch it because of that, I'll take the credit for it. But anyway, last thing before we head on out is just kind of when and where to watch your Monaco GP race coverage this weekend. Free practice 1 kicks off about 9 hours from now, 8:30 a.m. or 7:30 a.m. Eastern. ESPN 2, free practice 2. 11 a.m. Eastern, ESPN 2, free practice 3, 6:30 a.m. Eastern, ESPN 2, qualifying, appointment television, Saturday, 10 a.m. Eastern, ESPN, big channel there, and the race itself will air 9 a.m. Eastern on big ABC, just like Miami did. So free to air in the U.S., commercial-free coverage. And if you're looking for Indy 500, we talked about where to find it in the UK. You can also kind of find it there in the U.S. if you're so inclined. But if you want to be normal about it, it will be also free to air. NBC and Peacock are your places to go, assuming that there's no rain. I did look at some of the long-term forecasts. It does look a little bit icky. It may even get delayed, so maybe, put up some popcorn or go make your barbecue or do whatever it is you're going to do this weekend. The good news is, unlike in Formula One, if it does get rained out on Sunday, the Monday forecast looks pretty good. They will all come back and run the full race on Monday if they get delayed, or they'll pick up from wherever they left off if it's not official. They got to go halfway plus 1. So 101 laps gets you an official race at Indy. So, we're going to follow all that. Cody, any final thoughts before we hop on out for the night?
Just that I love this is on Memorial Day weekend, because if IndyCar does get rained out on Sunday, and I checked the forecast too, it looks like there's a pretty good chance they're supposed to get some pretty nasty weather around there. We're all still off on Monday, so it'd be a great time to watch the race too.
So we'll be back after all of this action happens, whether it's Sunday or Monday. I'm not exactly sure when we're going to do it, but we will hash all of that out. So enjoy this weekend. It is Memorial Day weekend in the U.S., so there is a reason that we have that day off. Make it a point of saying thank you to someone in a uniform. That's probably a good thing to go do. Enjoy this weekend. Happy summertime. Happy Super Bowl weekend for you race fans. Enjoy the 13 straight hours of coverage, maybe. But anyway, enjoy. We'll be back to recap it all. And as always, may all your laps be fast.
Thank you for listening to today's episode of the Outlap F1 podcast. If you like what you heard, click that subscribe button and be sure to leave us a 5-star review. If you want to connect with us outside of the show, check out our website at www.outlapf1.com. Find us on Twitter and Instagram at outlapf1 podcast, or email us at chatnow@outlapf1.com. As always, thank you so much for your support, and we'll see you on the next one.